Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Shields and Arrows, where we defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship. I am Pastor Mark Baze, and we are back here at the house location. I've been spending the past 2 days doing the show at the church, trying to diagnose some audio issues. I think we've got it figured out. Maybe it's just due to some static buildup that's happening on the microphone. So I'm hoping that we can come up with a good solution. I've got a few plans to implement on Sunday morning, and I hope that it works because I am excited. We are starting a new series on Sunday mornings at the church for Sunday school. And it's going to be a shorter series, probably only about 4 installments because I want to do a book study soon. But it's going to be a guide to the Greek scriptures. You know, I nearly called it a guide to the New Testament, but I think that language and what you call things is very important. And I'm really going to make a great effort, at least for a little while, to see if it catches on, to get away from the Old New Testament type language, because I think it creates some doctrinal confusion, because the reality is our dispensation is not the New Testament. It's just simply not. It's not the New Covenant. It's not Jeremiah 31 fulfilled. And so I'm going to start calling it the Greek Scriptures. But what I'm going to do over the course of these, I don't know, maybe next 3 or 4 Sundays is giving you an outline of the Greek Scriptures so you can approach Matthew through Revelation and just know the general outline for the Gospels. That'll be our first session this coming Sunday. And then we're going to look at the book of Acts. And then we're going to look at the Pauline and Jewish epistles, because those absolutely need to be distinguished between the two. And then we will, at some point put in the apocalyptic book, Revelation, into the whole thing. And so by the time it's all said and done, you'll have a nice, quick, concise series that's a guideline for the Greek Scriptures. So whatever book you're in the Greek Scriptures, the New Testament, you will have a very good grasp of what you are reading. All right, so hopefully you are going to be able to join us for that, whether online or after the recording is done. And so very excited about it. I thought about jumping into a longer book study, but I wanted to make one that's much more practical, accessible. I've got people in my audience that are in person, the Sunday school class that I'm teaching. Yes, I teach Sunday school. I've ranted about this before, but it really irks me when you have a pastor, especially a full-time pastor, and he does not teach more than twice a week, okay? I really do think if you are a full-time pastor, you need to teach at least twice a week, but I think you should be doing more. Now, there are some, not every rule is hard and fast. I've had some people say to me before, well, what if the pastor's bivocational? What if he has to drive a long ways? What if he? There's what ifs to everything, right? Human beings have 5 fingers on each hand. But what if they don't? What if they got it cut off? What if they for some reason were born with a 6th finger on a hand? We've heard about these things. There are exceptions to rules, but as a general rule, human beings have 5 fingers on each hand. As a general rule, a pastor should teach more than just twice a week. I teach Sunday morning for Sunday school, Sunday service, I do Sunday night service, and I do Wednesday night. So that's 4 times. That's 4 preps that I do every single week. And so I teach my Sunday school class. And that's not the only Sunday school class we have on Sunday mornings, but it is the class that I teach. And it's an opportunity to record so people can follow it. The Last Days series that we've been doing, many of you have long suffered through some difficult audio at times. Not all of it's been bad audio, but some of it has struggled a little bit. And so with that, that's going to be what we will do on Sunday mornings, is a guide to the Greek Scriptures. It'll be going live as per usual. It's just replacing the Last Day study. That's all. It'll be going live at 10 o'clock in the morning, Central Time, for all of you who live in the central part of the country, and hope that you find that to be good and worth your while. A guide to the Greek Scriptures. All right, now, Moving on from that, today is not going to be a lot of variety. There's a number of different things that I could be discussing, things that are going on in the world right now. I spent a little bit of time talking about politics on Monday, and I can only talk about it so long before it bores me. Yeah, we're getting ready to have a UFC fight at the White House, I guess, for the 250th anniversary of the United States. Anyways, and so it is what it is. I don't know. There's been NBA games, I'm pretty sure, played like in the White House, or maybe at least the Harlem Globetrotters maybe played a game at the White House. We have Easter egg hunts. We have all sorts of things that happen at the White House. I'm not bothered by it. Maybe somebody else is, and they're going to say, well, the White House is supposed to be a place of just, strict professionalism and business. And I don't know, folks. The White House has been a place for a lot of grandstanding and events and drugs and all sorts of things. I don't think a UFC fight at the White House is the worst thing to ever happen, okay? When a man has prosthetic anatomy added to him and he exposes that to the world, that's probably a whole lot worse than UFC fights. So everybody calm down. That's my thought. That's my thoughts there. My thoughts fighting UFC Ultimate Fighting Championship. Now, other things, politics worth noting. Are we going to get Epstein files? I don't know. I think that it's one of those things that the Democrats are using it to club Trump. A lot of Republicans are turning sour on Trump on it. I get it, it's frustrating, but here's the thing. Don't just turn your ire to Trump. There's been a lot of politicians that have been involved in it. The Democrats were in power for the past 4 years. They didn't release the Epstein files. It does make you suspicious. How much do we even really know? Maybe there are files. Maybe there were some overselling of promises. I don't know. It's going to be in the news. It's going to be an ongoing thing. Syria, in a constant state of turmoil and war. I know there was some 20 Christians killed. I know there was even Druze killed as well. There, one was even an Oklahoman, a citizen of Oklahoma, who I don't know if he was born in Oklahoma, but came to Oklahoma, became a citizen, went back to Syria, and those are all tragic things. There's a lot of bad things that happen in the world today, and it's all a reminder that the kingdom's not here yet, folks. When we talk about the messianic reign of Christ, let's not water the kingdom down to something spiritual. If we still have the atrocities going on today, not even just in faraway places, but think about all the atrocities going on in America today. We need to do the best we can with the time we have. So we can't just sit back and say, well, God's will is being perfectly done. That's not it. It's God's will that you and I are careful to maintain good works. Those are good and profitable unto men. That's Titus chapter 3, verse 8. So let's do the best we can. And here at Shields and Arrows, dedicated to defending the faith, the family, and the fellowship, that's what we're trying to do on a regular basis, every single day. So those are my general broad thoughts, not going to please everybody about the world, but that's what's on my mind. Now, a big thing that's on my mind today, and this is going to be the main focus of what I have to talk about, is, I don't know if you recall, but nearly a year and a half ago, when Shields and Arrows was very much brand new, I was still doing it out of the hotel room while my children were in the hospital, my triplets, out of the hotel room, conference room, and I told you there was a show coming that was a modern take on the book of Acts, all right? It's made by Angel Studios, the same studio behind The Chosen, and I just want to show you the trailer for The Chosen, or sorry, not The Chosen, but Testament. That's what I want you to see. So here it is. Let's see. Hopefully the audio is okay. So here's the trailer for it.
Did you take it?
See, they got a lot of money nowadays, folks. They can do a lot of stuff. So very fancy settings here.
He is risen.
Jesus
It's
is alive.
He's dead. I saw
very
him.
well directed.
Crucified.
Gonna be very dramatic. We got slow motion
explain.
walking. This is the entire premise of this show.
Sound.
Is a modern version of the Book of
All
Acts.
there at his trial, we all shouted,
That's what it is.
"Crucify him
Okay,
to
it's a
the
modern
Imperium."
version of the
Stephen, you're
the
too
Book of
smart
Acts.
for
I'm going to
that.
stop right there. I don't know. Sometimes copyright stuff can be kind of funny. And let me stop and talk for a minute, and then we can put it back on. Basically, what if the Book of Acts took place in modern times? So you've got modern setting, technology, modern looking people, and basically it's to tell the story, the Acts of the Apostles, in today's world. All right, so that's the premise. I'll let you watch a little bit more here.
I just know it's true. It's something old,
You know,
and yet
baptism
something
there, I
new.
suppose. That's Stephen, by the way. It's supposed to be Stephen.
Insurgency. Inciting revolution. We must do something.
Now, I have not
Saul of Tarsus.
watched this show. Okay, I haven't.
believe
I don't have
that.
time. I don't hardly watch any television,
He has everything to do with it.
but I certainly don't have time to watch this. All right, but here you go. New series.
Ananias, this is my wife,
you know,
Sapphira.
It's on,
Deny him again.
based on the Book of Acts.
We're on two different sides.
It's on
of
Angel
war, that's
Studios.
right.
It's being streamed right now. And so yeah, there it is. They're about to wrap up season number 1. They're gonna have season finale. So when I first told you about this a year and a half ago, that they're doing this new show on the Book of Acts, I was not a fan then, and I didn't even know what the show was about. I'm all the more not a fan of it now, probably, even though I haven't seen it. What I do want to do is show you the plot summaries to some extent, and then we're going to spend some time talking about it, okay? Because this gets back to a very foundational, basic question, and that question is, what even is Christianity? What is the faith? All right, what is it? That's a major question to me that I think we got to answer, because I'm not convinced that we really even know. And when I say we, not you and I, but I'm talking about Christianity at large. We don't know what this thing is even supposed to be, all right? So on IMDb, Internet Movie Database, here is the preview for Season 1, Episode 1. Here's the summary. On Pentecost, a mysterious wind calls out to the city. Oh, okay. First of all, already, a mysterious wind. That's probably coming from Acts chapter 2. If we go over here to Biblify, made by our brilliant technological warfare expert, Nathan White. Acts chapter 2, verse 1. You've got the verse 2 here. Suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house they were sitting. I don't know how they handle that in the show, exactly what that looks like. But as we read more about the description here, despite his mother's fears, Stephen follows the call. So first of all, right off the bat, they're introducing Stephen into the story. You may recall that Stephen's not even mentioned until what? Acts 7? I think it's Acts 7. Right? Is that the first time that we have Stephen mentioned? Acts chapter 7, verse 1. I think this is Stephen here. He may have been mentioned at the very end of Acts chapter 6. But it may not be any sooner than 7. Let me do a search for the name Stephen. Acts chapter 6, verse 5. Okay. So Stephen first appears in Acts 6, verse 5. I think that's the same Stephen. It's not a different Stephen. I think there's maybe two different Philips, though. You got to pay attention there. But yeah, so you got Stephen there in Acts chapter 6, verse 5. But the TV show, Stephen is mentioned right off the bat. This is my first big issue, okay? They're making stuff up. Now, they probably give a disclaimer, kind of get you out of jail free card, saying we're taking some creative liberties with the story. Some of these things are added, not actually found in the Bible, but we believe these things are still true to the spirit and meaning of the story. A lot of different biblical stories will do that. TV shows, movies, they'll give that little disclaimer. But they're adding stuff to it, making stuff up. That's what they're doing. All right? So Stephen's going to be a major focus here. Meanwhile, Saul, a temple prodigy, returns home to find the minister shaken by the resurgence of Jesus' followers. All right. Now, one of the things I've got to point out here, and in the year of our Lord 2025, this is I'm going to have to address some things that are somewhat politically incorrect, all right? One of my problems with taking this into modern times is obviously you're completely upending the biblical account, because the biblical account is this took place back in the first century. That's when the book of Acts actually, that's what it's recording. It's recording history from the first century. This is already eisegesis. Do you not see that already? This is eisegesis. This is taking the scriptures and reading yourself into it and reading yourself into modern times, right? What is my modern Goliath? What is my modern Egypt? What is my modern this or that? The Bible is just a book to apply to yourself. This is taking eisegesis, inserting you into every story. This is just the end result. You end up making the Bible fit to you rather than taking the Bible and appropriately applying the scriptures that are relevant to you in our dispensation. All right? That's what you get. Now, that's problem number one as I reflect and I think about all of this. Now, as you continue to read or look at this, here's the cast. Ready? And this is where I'm going to get politically incorrect. I'm going to get canceled. I don't care. Judaism is not just a religion, but it's a race, okay? Jewish people are an ethnicity. And from what I know, none of the apostles were proselytes, meaning non-Jewish in heritage. In their ethnicity. They were Jewish, all right? They were. I don't see any reason to speculate otherwise. Now, I don't know how the show handles the ethnicity of Judaism. Are they Jewish? I would almost be skeptical if they even address that it's supposed to be ethnical, that these are a people. They're not just a group of people who share a religion. It is a people who share ancestry. Now, look at this. Here's the cast. Charles Bevan as Stephen. This kind of looks like a white kid. Saul of Tarsus, Ibn Figueredo, kind of Hispanic of some descent. I don't know. I don't know who Mary Magdalene is. Peter's played by Tom Semper. I don't know what he is. The thing that's standing out to me, and once again, I don't care. We're going live on markbaseministries.org, by the way, if this show gets kicked off because it's considered insensitive. The sons of Zebedee, Kenneth Amol and John Amol, obviously look like they're real brothers, which that's kind of cool. If they're real life brothers there, having the same last names there. James and John Zebedee. something tells me Stephen, who is, I think was a Jew, and certainly Saul, who was a Jew. Let me see if I can see anything about Stephen in Acts chapter 6, verse 5. I don't see any reason why to think that Stephen was some proselyte. Nicholas was a proselyte. I feel like that means Stephen was a Jew. If right here in Acts 6:5, Nicholas, a proselyte of Antioch. If he's the only one mentioned as being a proselyte, that probably means Stephen was Jewish. So not only do we get the timeline wrong in Acts, but I don't think that James and John and Stephen and Saul are all sharing the same ethnicity. Something tells me they're not the same lineage, unless you go way, way back to like Noah, maybe. I don't see much respect to the historical record. Taking it out of time is problem number one. Also, you're losing the very historical account and factual details of the book of Acts. What is this about? Is this just all vague? The day of Pentecost, it wasn't a specific Jewish thing. There was nothing distinct about it. It was just, the religious people gathering, and it's all ambiguous. It's like modern Hollywood. If you notice modern Hollywood, they could do a movie out of Victorian era France, I don't know, and you've got white, black, Asian, Hispanic, they're all living in France. And it makes no sense. It takes away the historical accuracy of it. It also just completely ruins the immersion of it because you don't believe it. And so here we are in this book of Acts, and we're already completely detached and dissociated from any historical facts. That there is no way to follow the narrative. You cannot follow the biblical narrative in the Bible if you ignore the lineage, the identity of the Hebrew people. You can't do it. It becomes nonsensical. It doesn't make any theological sense or historical sense. What do you get out of this show if it's already detached from the historical setting as well as the biblical reality? All right, so that's the cast. If we look down, we probably got some more. I don't know here, and also some names I don't recognize. Gamaliel. Is that even a? Is that a person? Okay, so yeah, Acts 5:4, Pharisee, Gamaliel. All right, there we go. So okay, they're using somebody there, which we don't know a whole lot about him, but he is mentioned here, so they're gonna put in Gamaliel. Okay, that's fine. That better that than making up names. Cleopas. How much do we know about Cleopas? Luke 24:18. So he's not mentioned in Acts. Behold, two of them were that same day to a village called Em. Okay, so he's just briefly mentioned in Luke, here in Luke chapter 24, verse 18, but we're going to add him into the Acts story, or at least his name. Acts 22:3, Jay mentions as well, so there you go. I just imagine, though, they're going to probably give a whole lot more backstory to these guys than what the Bible really has to say. They got Matthias in there. Once again, Matthias looks very, very ethnically different from the others. So there's some of the cast there. I guess that's for episode 1. All right, so let's move on. So we've already got Stephen and Saul introduced into the story. Here's episode 2 with Peter and John imprisoned. The followers face mounting doubts and opposition. The followers is the name they use there. Interesting choice of terms. I mean, I don't know. Believing Jews would probably be more accurate to the book of Acts, I would say, as opposed to followers. That's very vague. But then again, most of Christianity's teaching and everything is pretty vague. Stephen is burdened by guilt. I don't know what Stephen did. Mary confronts a painful past. And Saul wrestles with the implications of public miracles in Jesus' name. So Mary confronts a painful past. So Mary Magdalene, she's also a part of this, a pretty significant character then. Okay, Book of Acts. Let's see, where do we have Mary? Mary, the mother of John, is mentioned in Acts 12:12, but Mary Magdalene, we don't see Mary Magdalene in the book of Acts. So now we're inserting Mary into the story, but it's also Hollywood for modern audiences, so we got to have, female characters, I guess, inserted into the story, because it can't just be accurate to the Bible and focus primarily on, male characters. And Saul wrestles with the implications of public miracles in Jesus' name. Once again, they're going to be adding a lot of backstory in for Saul here. All right, episode 3. The Imperium's inspection forces the apostles to lay low. Okay, I don't know what the Imperium is. Maybe that's Rome. I don't know. While Caiaphas hides the Jesus movement from Pilate. I don't know. So, Pilate. So, we got Pilate mentioned in Acts. The only references to Pilate is just referring back to the crucifixion, the night of Jesus' betrayal. But we're going to insert Pilate into the story as well. If you're making stuff up, you might as well just keep on messing it up. Stephen wrestles with faith, and Saul grows more determined to end the movement. Okay. Moving on. Episode 4. Barnabas' warehouse gift offers hope until Ananias and Sapphira's deception devastates Peter and the followers. Once again, they're still using that term, the followers. That way it can apply to us today. Stephen mentors young Malachi, while Mara's discovery of a secret meeting forces Saul into an unthinkable choice. Mara. Okay, let me see. Who's Mara? And there, she could be in there. Gamaliel. I didn't remember. Mara. Mara's mentioned in Ruth. Call me not Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty had dealt very bitterly with me. Okay, so once again, another added character there. Trying to see if we got any more added actors in the story so far. All right, episode 5. Saul pulls strings in the shadows, okay, orchestrating the apostles' arrest. Stephen rises to unite a fractured community while Mary confronts the temple guard over a rescued girl's future. Saul's plan may succeed, but at what cost? Once again, this is... Talk about missing this, you know what this is? I think I'm going to call this missing the forest for made-up trees. All right? What you do is you're going to, you take a tree that is fake. I don't know, it's a Christmas tree, or maybe you just, you made it somehow out of cardboard. You put it in the middle of the forest, and you're looking at this made-up tree that's not even a part of the forest. And you miss the entire forest because you're looking at your made-up tree. What is going on with this Mary confronting a temple guard? You know what's going to happen if people watch this show? They're going to know nothing about the book of Acts. They won't know anything about it. And what little they do know, it's all going to be through this mixed up, messed up lens of these storytellers. They're not, and once again, we're not watching the show, so maybe I'm judging harshly. But if these are major plot points and they're not even found in the book of Acts, I don't understand the justification there. Stephen's rising influence divides Salem. Oh, that must be Jerusalem, like Salem, Jerusalem. Inspiring some but terrifying his mother Esther. Meanwhile, a disillusioned Saul is unexpectedly offered a new position within the temple's ranks. But is that what Saul really wants anymore? So I feel like we're not... You notice one of the things that's very interesting to me? While we are just getting the summary of the plots here, you know who's not really mentioned? Peter. Peter's kind of an important figure in Acts, chapters 1 through 13, well, even into chapter 15. But we're not focused on Peter. We're focused on Stephen. And Stephen, like I said, is mentioned in 3 chapters in the book of Acts, maybe? 7 through 9? I don't feel like this is even trying to capture the record of Acts. All right, let's continue. Let's continue through it, see what happens. All right, episode 7. An enraged mob demands the followers' eradication for defiling their faith. As violence flares, the apostles rally to protect their people, while Saul takes a road that will leave him changed forever. They're forever changed. All right. Sounds like this is where Stephen gets killed. In episode number 8, Pilate has found out and threatens mass crucifixions unless the Jesus movement is crushed. So Pilate's inserted back into this story here. Now, are they trying... Maybe let me give them the greatest benefit of the doubt and say that we have extra biblical historical record of Pilate threatening to crucify Christians. Maybe we can find something. Here's Britannica, which not that I agree with everything that they say, but Pilate incurred the enmity of Jews in Roman-occupied Palestine by insulting their religious sensibilities, as when he hung worship images of the emperor throughout Jerusalem and had coins bearing Roman religious symbols minted. Pilate was exposed to sharper criticism from certain Jews who may have capitalized on his vulnerability to obtain a legal death sentence on Jesus. The Samaritans reported Pilate after he attacked them on Mount Gerizim. He was then ordered back to Rome to stand trial for cruelty and oppression. I don't know. They don't have any mention there. An early church tradition that had taken a favorable opinion of Pilate persisted in some churches. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not finding anything historical on that, but we're just adding to the whole thing here. So Pilate threatens to crucify a number of people unless the Jesus movement is crushed. Look at this modern language, the Jesus movement. once again, I'm not finding anything that's staying faithful to the actual record that these were Jewish people testifying of the Jewish Messiah, the fulfillment of Old Testament prophecy. Isaiah, Malachi, Joel, whatever book you want to point to, there's so many, I can't even list them all right now. That all actual relevant context it seems to be void here. It's just the Jesus movement. That's all it is. There's not any more to it. Just the Jesus movement. Is that it? Yeah. So that's the final one. I guess that's the season finale there. The thing that I'm really frustrated about is how many people are going to tune in and watch this, and this is going to be how they view the book of Acts. They're going to get their doctrine from second-hand sources. I think that's what a lot of people do. They don't study the Bible for themselves. I would imagine if we sat down and watched this thing, I'm almost tempted to do it, to give you a more in-depth breakdown of the whole thing. I would need the time. I do think that we have a subscription that would allow us to access it. It almost tempts me. But if you read the Gospels and the book of Acts versus watching The Chosen and this TV show Testament, I think you're going to come away with two completely different views on the Bible. Taken literally and contextually, the book of Acts is going to lead you to say Paul was given a distinct ministry to the Gentiles that was unique from the ministry to the Jews. That's going to be plain, clearly seen. And then if you read the epistles, you'll get further information on it. It does not sound to me like if you watch this show, Testament, you're going to come away with any sense of a unique Jewish context to it. And to be honest, I don't know if you take it out of its historical context and try to modernize it, that probably keeps them from being able to do so. Because then it's going to look racist or something. What, you got a bunch of modern Jews denying Jesus is the Messiah? I mean, that goes really well for you in modern culture, right? You're setting yourself up for failure entirely. You have to keep it in a historical context. Let's face it. The vast majority of Christianity, what books do they read? Okay? I'm talking about in the Bible. Now, they'll read all sorts of other books, but what books do they read in the Bible? The Gospels. Not all of it, probably all the way through, but a little bit of the Gospels here, a little bit of the Gospels there. Maybe some of the epistle type stuff. 1 John, because it's so much love. Maybe Ephesians a little bit. Maybe 1 Peter. Some of Romans chapter 3 maybe, Romans chapter 5 maybe. That's what the vast majority of them are going to read. That's what the vast majority of them are going to study. I would imagine if you did a poll and had them check books of the Bible that they've read, it's going to be along those lines. The Gospels, a couple of Paul's epistles, 1 John, maybe 1 Peter. For so many of them who do not have Bible knowledge, who haven't done their homework to study for themselves, to show themselves approved, they will allow TV shows like this to define the book of Acts for them. with this kind of media, no wonder we are so confused on what the Bible even is. It is a vague thing. It's meant to be taken and read and then put into a modern context. This TV show is case in point. Take the Bible and put it in a modern context. Put yourselves in the shoes of Peter or Stephen or whoever if they were living in our time. And you're going to miss the forest for a made-up tree. Why are we reading about, or why are we watching a fake storyline when you're missing out on you're not even addressing the actual factual events of the book itself? I am all the more becoming so anti this that I would really encourage you to not even entertain the idea of watching it. Don't give them money. If you click on it, then that's going to show that, hey, people are watching this and this can be profitable. But this all brings me back. So let's get back to the original question I posed. This all brings me back to the question of what is Christianity? Is Christianity a set of revelation given by God telling us the truth of our world, the truth of His character, and the truth of salvation? And we are beckoned by God, implored, beseeched to receive that revelation and believe that revelation? Or is Christianity simply just, here's a collection of writings meant to be taken by you and use it as a motivational self-help book, and it gives you good feelings? Because I guarantee you, no doubt about it, these people know how to make a TV show. Like I said, it's going to be emotional. I imagine if they follow through accurately and Stephen is killed, he's look at him, right? Look at this, just this innocent, look at this innocent looking kid here. He looks a little bit kind of feminine to me. But anyways, look at this little sweet innocent face, right? I mean, you'd be crying, right, if you watch them kill him, right, as they did to Stephen in the Bible. It's an innocent person. There's going to be emotion. And what's going to happen is, just as we talked about the other day, emotion is prioritized over intellect in modern Christianity. They're going to feel something, right? They're going to have an emotional response to that. That the Holy Spirit, is the Holy Spirit teaching and moving and working through this TV show? So Christianity is going to have to really make up their minds. What do we even believe this is? Is it emotionalism? Is it driven by experience? Is it driven by feelings? I feel this, so I believe this. I've experienced this, so this is how I view the Bible. What the Bible means to me, what the story of Stephen means to me. Or is it, this is what the Bible says? This is the testimony of Scripture. And the book of Acts is not for me to take it and put a modern twist on it to make me feel a certain way. It is an historical document testifying of the work of God, the apostles appointed, and the mystery revealed to the Apostle Paul for the age of grace that we live in today. We've got to decide. And this act of turning the Bible into something about us that's exactly what it is. Actions speak very loudly, all right? Taking the book of Acts and modernizing it, it does make it about us. The Bible's not about us. The Bible is about God and His testimony of creation and His revelation. There is a dispensation that we fit into if we will read it. But here's the tragedy. When you don't let the Bible speak clearly and let it be a real document, you're going to miss out on the dispensation that you fit into. And you are going to try, you absolutely will. You will be trying to conjure up Pentecost in your own life because you witnessed it on the TV show. And if it happened then, it can happen for me. And that's why churches to this day will gather and they'll speak in tongues. They'll utter all these sayings. I would really say, so here's a book. Here's what you get, all right? When you start turning the book of Acts into a modern thing or just the Bible in general, this is what you get. Your best life now. Okay, your best life now. 7 steps to living at your full potential. Joel Osteen, I'm not even that mad at him, all right? He is just being, I think he's just being honest about what Christianity has presented itself as. It's self-help motivation. And that's what it's all about. Coming to church is all about making you feel better, empowering you, emboldening you. It's not about learning the truth of Scripture. It's not about learning doctrine. It's all about you. And so Joel Osteen's he's just being honest. He's just running with what's being said, the narrative. Substitute any other motivational book, right? Let's just search Amazon for motivational book. Here you go. Here's a little book. I don't even know anything about it. The 100 top motivational stories, the best inspirational short stories and anecdotes of all time. Anecdotes of all time, sorry. I don't know what this, some of these stories will make you cry, others will make you smile. None will leave you indifferent. You'll find them witty, touching, amusing, and spirit-soothing. That could be a line that's said about the Bible. I could hear a preacher say that. And that's how they look at Scripture here. The book of Acts, what we just read, the testimony of Stephen, bearing testimony of Jesus, it's a story to give you motivation. You can be motivated by it. That's fine. I'll find stuff in Scripture that motivates me. But that's not the point. That's not the focus of the Bible. It's got to have real meaning. The Scriptures are not what us to just turn it into whatever we want. The story of Ezra and Nehemiah is not to just motivate us. The story of it isn't even to motivate us. It's to just bear testimony of God having the temple rebuilt. And that starts the timeline for the Daniel's 70 weeks of years for the Messiah being cut off. But you'll never get that from standard evangelicalism because they're not trying to get the facts, they're trying to get the feels. That's a good tagline. Maybe I should use it. So, no, I haven't watched the show. Is it possible that I'm completely misunderstanding it? Do I need to watch it? I don't know. Some of y'all who have free time and you have Angel Studios, take a look at it. I'm not saying Angel Studios is all bad. I think one of the things they do is they have a more clean, family-friendly type company compared to many. But yeah, I'm not endorsing it by any means. Let me see some of your comments today here on this Wednesday. Great to have all of you on with us. Hey, Aunt Becky, see that you're on with us. Lisa, great to have you on as well. Really enjoyed getting to visit with your son when he came and saw us. Of course, and your beautiful grandchildren. Rocky Vid, Christianity is Jesus' grace. I think that those are true things. I would say that we need to be specific about what we believe. Just speaking Jesus, just saying grace, I don't think is enough information for us to fully capture the gospel message. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're still with us, not Rocky, but yeah, I appreciate you commenting though. It is true what you said. Robert says, I can see problems with the timeline. If Pentecost only finally comes in modern time, how did the world get to where we are today? Yeah, they're probably going to say, well, Jesus came in modern time too, which, once again, I think creates a whole host of issues. Ken says, good morning, folks. Better late than never. Come on now, Ken. Gotta show up. So Gamaliel was Saul's teacher. Okay. That's not the worst offender. The worst offenders are not doing something with those mentioned in the book of Acts, but taking people not mentioned in the book of Acts and doing stuff with it. Robert says, if there's still an Imperium, this would be like an alternate history story. Yeah, maybe, and I don't even know. I don't know exactly how they're just, maybe it's just a what if Acts happened today. He says, this reminds me of what some churches do when they study a passage from the Old Testament and make it live for today. Find some modern application from the victory of Gideon. Yep. That reminds me, those of you, Lisa, this may be one, since I know that you're a recent new listener. I did a series on misapplied. It's misapplied, questioning, doctrine, derived. Well, it's just a long title. But here's the YouTube playlist: misapplied, questioning doctrine derived from Bible stories, and I just go through the Old Testament, the Gospel, or the Golden Calf, the Ten Commandments, the Psalm 51 prayer, the faith of Abraham, the Book of Life, a still small voice, Jephthah's vow. Misapplied, exploiting Korah, just like Joshua. So, yeah, there's a number of examples in which those happen. The Old Testament one sermon, you get to hear a nice special sung by our very own Ashley at the church. So, some extra little things in there. Yeah, Jay says David Stones being an example. Myra says, flee temptations. Probably in the context somehow of that conversation there. David had 5 stones to represent blah, blah, blah. Where are your stones? Yeah, 5. Faith, courage, humility, gratitude, and patience. There you go. There's the 5. I could just preach a sermon. The evangelical sermons are so easy to preach. I need zero prep. If I was called up by Dallas, First Baptist Dallas, and said, Mark, we need you to preach in 30 minutes, I would, well, it would take me, we need you to preach in an hour and 30 minutes. It's exactly an hour and 30-minute drive to Dallas Theological Seminary. First Baptist Dallas, let me get that right. I could get there just in time if I left right now, and I could preach an evangelical sermon because they don't require any prep. You don't have to do Bible study. You just make something up. Here's 3 ways Noah's Ark represents the gospel. It's not hard. Jay says Christianity and modern evangelicalism is exactly that, feelings-based self-help. Yep. And it's funny because there's some people that they want to call out Joel Osteen, and yet they do the same thing. They're doing the same thing. They're making it sound a little bit more spiritual. I think Joel Osteen's just a little bit more honest about it. Lisa says, thank you. I'm hoping to visit your church the next time I'm in Durant visiting my sister. Lisa, we'd love to have you. One thing that I would like to maybe suggest to you, come see us for our spring Bible conference. It'll probably be around the end of March again. Your son and his wife and the girls, they came and saw us. And so try to see if you can come see us and be with us for the Bible conference. That'll be a fun time. I've got the concept is here, all right? I've already been thinking about what we're going to cover. So I've got the concept. I just need the title, okay? And start working on it from there. But don't worry, we're getting ready for the Spring Bible Conference. I thought the first one was a lot of fun. Got to meet so many great people, and so very, very excited, looking forward to that. My Aunt Becky says, I'm studying the book of Acts now. I'm only in chapter 2 and already have questions for you. Well, that's great. Well, tomorrow is going to be Theology Thursday, so I'll be ready to answer plenty of questions for you. Just don't use this TV show Testament to try to understand the book of Acts, because I don't think it's really anything about the book of Acts. I think it's about what a TV producer's idea about the book of Acts should be. Ken says, Tom Barusha does a great verse-by-verse study of Acts on YouTube. Okay, very good, Ken. I don't have a verse-by-verse on Acts yet. I've got a lot of sermons that address areas in the book of Acts, but I don't have one. I know Dr. White does. So Grace Impact Ministries. I haven't watched much of his stuff. Is he a pretty solid right divider? Am I showing how ignorant I am? Seems a lot of it seems like it is. Looking at some of his sermon titles here. Is he like in Acts 9, Acts 13? Where's he at? Grant Perry. Grant, nice to meet you. Where are you from? It's always encouraging when we get to meet new people. Glad to hear that you're finding it to be worthwhile. You know, the Shields and Arrows show's a lot of fun, and we do some, I think, valuable stuff, especially our Theology Thursday question and answers. But yeah, definitely if you haven't watched the sermons and Bible studies, that's the real purpose of our ministry. This is kind of the bonus stuff that we get to enjoy in fellowship together. So yeah, if you would mind letting us know where you're from, it's always really neat. One thing I want to do is, before the next Bible conference, I want to get a map of the United States. That way we can start having people put pins in, because we do have. At this time, we've got people from, we've had Rick join us from North Carolina. We've had a number of people from Texas come see us. And then, even Oklahoma itself. We've had people from Tulsa, people from Western Oklahoma. So, Ken says Tom Brusha, is that how you say it? Brusha? Is very solid. Well, great. There's a lot of good theologians on YouTube. And that rightly divide the word of truth. And it's a great thing. Grant says he lives in Hurricane, West Virginia. Hurricane, West Virginia. That's quite the name of the town. Is the school mascot the Hurricanes? The Hurricanes? Or maybe, what else could you do? I don't know. I'm carrying this on longer than I need to now. So with that in mind, let me just remind you of a couple things. On Sunday morning, like I said at the beginning of the show, we're starting a brand new short series called A Guide to the Greek Scriptures. By that, I'm referring to the New Testament. We will give you, like I said, it's a guide. It's not a comprehensive, all in-depth study, but the point of it is, by the time I'm done doing this short series, you're going to have a very good grasp on what the main focus is of any given book of the Greek Scriptures. You go to Matthew, you go to Acts, you go to Romans, you go to 1 Peter, John, James, you name it. You're going to have a very good idea of who the audience is, what the focus of it is, what to expect. And of course, question it. I'm not telling you that I have all knowledge, but I'm going to give you my rightly dividing perspective there. Sherry's from Minnesota. Here's what I want. So I need you to help me. For this spring Bible conference we're going to have, I want to have, not counting Oklahoma, at least 3 other states. All right, I want 3 other states. I want, whether that's Texas, North Carolina, and Minnesota, or Texas, Minnesota, West Virginia, or Texas, Missouri, and Kansas. I don't know, or we don't even need Texas, but we'll probably have we'll probably have some Texas folks there just because they're close by, and they come up out of the DFW area to listen to us. So that's the goal, be getting it on your mind. Probably, I like to do it around 6 months or so, maybe a little bit sooner beforehand. So if we do it in March, so December, November, October. So here in about 2 months, expect to get an official title and probably a date. All right. So everybody, I'm going to go ahead and cut us loose today. Really enjoyed it. I think that we had a fun discussion on all of this, addressing some very important matters. And so I hope that you are interested in what we're doing and continue to study the Word for yourself. I would recommend rightly dividing the Word of truth. I think that's the most accurate and consistent way to study the Bible. So this has been Shields and Arrows, where we defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship. You can go to markbazeministries.org if you'd like to access more of our sermons. If you would like to support this ministry, it's made possible by you. The equipment you see, the cameras, you name it, it has all been done by the great supporters here. So thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.